As Elton John once said, Saturday night is all right for fighting, and this upcoming Saturday night is going to be as all right as it has ever been, as UFC lightweight champion of the world defends his lightweight championship against Justin Gaethje. And this is going to be an absolute battle. If you happen to be the sort of person who bets on fights, I think you can safely bet that this one is going to end by finish, one way or the other. Now, by now, I've said this over and over again over the past couple of years. Right now, the UFC lightweight division is probably the single best division in the history, of the sport of mixed martial arts. I don't think there's ever been a division quite as packed full of talent as the way that this division has been over the past couple of years. And so with that in mind, obviously the UFC lightweight championship of the world is a very coveted championship, and it should be a very coveted championship. But that doesn't mean that everything with that championship, is ideal or perfect right now. There does happen to be one outstanding issue with the lightweight championship of the world, and that is its incomplete lineage. And so when we talk about the lineage of a championship, it can be a little bit difficult to put this into words, but basically the way that it goes is this guy who is the champion beat this guy who was the champion, who beat this guy who was the champion. And so you stake your claim to being the best lightweight fighter in the world by being the guy who beat all of these other guys, or at least would have or could have beaten all of these other guys. But right now, the UFC lightweight champion of the world can't necessarily say that with even any amount of even like philosophical certainty. Because that lineage was broken when Khabib Nurmogamedov retired as the lightweight champion of the world. And so Charles Oliveira, he did surprise a lot of people when he beat Michael Chandler to become the replacement lightweight champion of the world. But he did accomplish that task. And ever since then, one of the very important tasks on his plate has been, we need to rebuild this lineage. And how do you rebuild this lineage? Well, in the absence of that champion to go and beat, basically the only other way to do it is to beat all of the people that champion beat. And so this upcoming Saturday, he's going to fight Justin Gaethje. And of course, Justin Gaethje was a guy that Khabib beat, to remain and in fact unify the lightweight championship with the interim lightweight championship. And Oliveira's previous fight out was with Dustin Poirier, who was another guy that Khabib beat during his championship reign. Actually, another one of these championship unification situations. Which, in all honesty, I might not think of very much when it involves these interim championships. But, it is as they marketed it. It was what it was. Whatever you think of what it was is entirely up to you. But with that win, Charles Oliveira put himself well on the road to rebuilding that lineage. He can take another step in that direction this weekend by defeating Justin Gaethje. And then after that, who remains? Well, kind of depends on how you look at it. Because Al Iaquinta was actually another guy that's on that list of guys that Khabib beat for the championship. As a matter of fact, when Khabib Nurmagomedov became the lightweight champion, he accomplished that by beating Al Iaquinta. Now that one, as it pertains to Charles Oliveira's, task of rebuilding this lineage, Al Iaquinta is maybe a little bit more questionable because he hasn't really done very much since then that would suggest that he's actually a guy that really matters very much in this lightweight division. And so it is possible that perhaps you can just dismiss Al Iaquinta. But there is one other guy that definitely could not be dismissed, and of course that would happen to be none other than Conor McGregor. Now, there's a lot of people out there who would say that Conor McGregor doesn't deserve a chance at the lightweight championship. And I would say that if you look at his performance over the last couple of years, Yeah, I would say that is, I'd say that's pretty true. He definitely hasn't earned a shot at the lightweight championship of the world. But the lineage of a championship is very important to establishing its prestige. And Charles Oliveira definitely does need to go out and get that win over Conor McGregor, of course, presuming that he defeats Justin Gaethje, which, by the way, nobody should be making that assumption, least of all myself. But should Oliveira manage to defeat the three of those four guys that actually matters, he can feasibly stake a claim to holding the same lightweight championship that Khabib Nurmogamedov held. I mean, of course, Charles Oliveira will never be able to say that he actually beat Khabib Nurmagomedov. And that's not even really what's being argued here. But if he beats those three guys, then at least he could go around making the argument that he at least might have, that he at least could have beaten Khabib Nurmagomedov if the two of them had ever fought. And that's extremely important to the future of this championship. That's extremely important to the future of this division. And that's extremely important to Charles Oliveira himself as a fighter. There is one other fighter out there to whom this is extremely important, and of course that would be none other than Islam Makhachev. Because Islam Makhachev, very much, it looks like he's on just a rocket ship right to the top. He will challenge for the light heavyweight championship of the world within the next year. You can count on that. I don't think that he's a shoo-in to win it, the way that a lot of people seem to think that he should be. But I think that he's going to be a very strong contender. Yeah, and he might actually, there's an extremely good chance that at the end of this year, Islam Makhachev will be the lightweight champion of the world. But Charles Oliveira's project of rebuilding the lineage of this championship is actually every bit as important to Islam Makhachev as it is to Charles Oliveira. Because when Islam Makhachev, should he win the lightweight championship of the world, what he wants to be able to go around telling everybody is that he's carrying around the same championship that Khabib Nurmagomedov had. And he's wearing around his waist the same championship that Khabib Nurmagomedov wore around his waist. And he won't be able to do that until that lineage is rebuilt. And so you could almost make the argument that for Islam's purposes, he might actually be better served. He might be better served if Charles Oliveira beats Justin Gaethje, and then goes on and beats Conor McGregor. And then maybe Islam Makhachev comes in and maybe defeats Charles Oliveira to become the lightweight champion of the world. That it might actually be in his best interests to take that one more top 5 fight that honestly he does need in order to really cement himself, as the top contender. Yeah, Islam Makhachev, he really does need one more win within the top 5 of the lightweight division. And really inside of in serving his desire to be the heir apparent to Khabib Nurmagomedov, waiting until Charles Oliveira has completed that lineage might actually be in his best interests. But at the same time, let's not overlook the detail that Justin Gaethje is going to have something to say about that. This upcoming... But let's also not overlook the detail that Justin Gaethje is going to have something to say about that. It is entirely possible that this upcoming weekend he might defeat Charles Oliveira, himself become the lightweight champion of the world, and then this task of rebuilding the lineage basically starts all over again. And you've got a new champion that really has the same need, that needs to go out and defeat Dustin Poirier and defeat Conor McGregor. And Islam Makhachev is definitely not going to wait in the wings long enough for all of that to happen, and in all honesty, under those circumstances, nor should he. Keep in mind that under those circumstances, should Islam Makhachev win a mythical lightweight championship fight against Justin Gaethje, that would put him exactly, in terms of rebuilding that lineage, that would put him exactly where Charles Oliveira is right now, with just 2 more wins to collect to rebuild the lineage of the championship that Khabib Nurmogamedov held. And this is one of the things that makes the lightweight division of the UFC so exciting right now, is not just the amount of talent that's in that division, but it's so incredibly unpredicted. There's no telling which way that it might go. Although that being said, we'll have a much better idea of that after this weekend.